Jai Sriman Narayan. Jai Sriman Narayan. I pay my obeisances to my spiritual master, Srimad Jagadguru Sudarshan Acharyaji Maharaj. I pay my obeisances to Lord Sri Ramanuj. I pay my obeisances to the Purva Acharyas. I pay my obeisances to the 12 Alvars. I pay my obeisances to Mother Lakshmi, and I pay my obeisances to Lord Sriman Narayan. I welcome all of you here physically at the Sri Narayan Dham in Durban, South Africa. I welcome those that's watching this discourse locally, nationally, and internationally, and I welcome in advance those that's watching this discourse, that will be watching this discourse when it is posted on YouTube and the various groups from around the world subsequently. Lord Sri Krishna himself welcomes you to the Sri Narayan Dham. As I've stated, he is permanently resident here, and you should not miss an opportunity to be or to visit the Sri Narayan Dham whenever you can. All your sorrows, all your pains, and all your sufferings can only be negated here. And I've given you adequate scriptural injunctions, and I've proven to you timeously and consistently that the potency exists right here. Today is the day number 7. Today is day 7 of the Krishna Janmashtami celebrations and Gita week. And I stated in the beginning of this week that there is only one authentic Bhagavad Gita. There is only one authentic Bhagavad Gita that is spoken by Lord Sri Krishna himself. This Bhagavad Gita is compiled by Veda Vyas, impelled by Lord Sri Krishna himself. And this Bhagavad Gita, 1,000 years ago, was re-established verbatim and with Vedic injunctions from the original Bhagavad Gita of Lord Sri Krishna, compiled by Veda Vyas himself, by Lord Sri Ramanuj. So there are various, if you go on the internet and if you want to know what Hinduism is, then they will tell you that there are many philosophies in Hinduism. The three main philosophies being Advaita, Vishesh Advaita, and Dvaita, which means in Advaita, Adi Shankara Acharya stated that at some point, the Supreme Lord was covered with ignorance. And when he became covered with ignorance, he manifested as living entity. He manifested as living entities. And when, through knowledge, this ignorance is unveiled, then that individual soul will return to his path as being the Supreme Lord. He took verses from the Upanishad that favored this philosophy, and he rejected verses from the Upanishad that did not favor this philosophy. And that is the Advaita philosophy. So his great follower was Swami Sivananda, who gave rise to the Divine Life Society. His ardent devotee is Swami Sivananda, who gave rise to the Divine Life Society. And here in Reservoir Hills, we also have the Divine Life Society of South Africa. Then there is another philosophy called the Bheda philosophy, which states that the Lord and the individual soul is totally separate and simultaneously one. Totally separate and simultaneously one. Both these philosophies cannot be synthesized with the scriptures. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he started the Asintya Bheda philosophy by stipulating this philosophy. He had to reject the other parts of the Upanishads. So let's come to what the Guru has been saying since time immemorial. The Guru has been saying and stating that the Lord is absolute. Have you heard me say that before? Then the Guru stated, because the Lord is absolute, for him to present his absolute knowledge in scriptures, he has to give it himself. So the Lord incarnates as Vedavyas and compiles the knowledge that is the very essence of the Lord. Yes, I've stated that. I've also stated that because this knowledge is absolute, no living entity has the capacity to utilize any part of the knowledge in a particular manner suited to him for the appeasement of a particular type of devotees. Have I stated this not consistently? So, if the Upanishads, if only certain verses were taken from the Upanishads by Adi Shankar Acharya, and he rejected other verses from the Upanishads, then what is he factually doing? He, by removing or not taking into consideration the entire Vedas, which is the absolute truth spoken, compiled, and breathed by the Supreme Lord himself, is he not discrediting the Supreme Lord by picking and choosing a particular philosophy? Is it? Yes. Same with Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. If he took certain aspects of the Upanishads and rejected other aspects of the Upanishads, then he himself is disregarding the absolute of the Supreme Lord. All of you understand? So this is why I am stating that the only Bhagavad Gita that is authentic is that Bhagavad Gita compiled by Lord Sri Ramanuj 1000 years ago. Because in his Bhagavad Gita, he has not suited any particular philosophy. Scholars call his compilation Vishesh Advaita. Who does that? Scholars. In reality, when Lord Sri Ramanuj re-established the Bhagavad Gita, all he did was take verbatim the Bhagavad Gita spoken by the Supreme Lord, and he explained it as compiled by Veda Vyas. So which Bhagavad Gita would you want to read now? The one spoken by Lord Sri Krishna, or the one created by Adi Shankaracharya or Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu through Swami Prabhupad? Through Swami Prabhupada. And it is ironical that the translation of the Bhagavad Gita by Swami Prabhupada goes with a subtitle as it. Is it not ironical? So, there was a guru from India I had a discussion with, from the Sri Sampradaya, in terms of all these contradictions. And he told me, Acharyaji, I advise you not to publicly discuss any contradictions in Sanatana Dharma, because it will bring Sanatana Dharma down, and do not discuss any contradictions amongst gurus, because people will stop following gurus. You think I heeded his advice? You think I'm going to heed his advice? You think I care what people think about Sanatana Dharma? And you think I care what people think about gurus? I only care for the absolute truth. I only care for the absolute truth. And I want to start the absolute truth today. That is by, you know, the guru's modus operandi. Modus operandi in Sanskrit means, you all know modus operandi is a Sanskrit word. What it means, Jai-Bhai?
It was Latin.
Oh, okay, Jai-Bhai is intelligent. Modus operandi in Latin means method of operation. Modus operandi in Latin means modus of operation. And Sri Satish Bhai, do you know what the Guru's modus of operation is when he makes these statements? Where he gets his injunctions from? Directly from the Supreme Lord. Rana? It's going to be long discourse, and the Guru is already thirsty. It'll be a very long discourse today. This is why we started at 2. we can finish off at 8 comfortably, maybe 7, because we have to clearly explain why. Again, I don't think this has been done in the recent past, where a guru has rejected other Bhagavad Gitas. But I think I'm doing it in the appropriate period. This is called the Gita week, not the fake Gita week. Can you all see fake anywhere in this Gita week? It's called the Bhagavad Gita week, and the Bhagavad Gita was spoken by Lord Sri Krishna. And Lord Sri Krishna only has one line of thought, and that is Vedanta. That is Vedanta, all right? But as I said, our modus operandi is to take the words directly from Lord Sri Krishna himself. I am not disrespecting any other institution or guru. I am calling it as it really is, as it is gone already. As it really is. Okay? So this diversion from the absolute truth is not happening from Adi Shankaracharya or Swami Prabhupad or Swami Sivananda. It's happening since time immemorial. It is a unique mechanism of Sanatan Dharma. You'll find all these gurus who are postulating half-truths or semi-truths. These gurus, in actual fact, are bona fide Sri Sampradaya gurus. All these gurus are Sri Sampradaya gurus. Okay? Might be confusing. Might be confusing, but if you read the works of Adi Shankaracharya, he already stated in his invocation of the Bhagavad Gita, that Lord Sriman Narayan is the Supreme Lord. So you can see he's an undercover Sri Sampradaya Guru postulating a false philosophy. Then, if you go through the works of Swami Prabhupada himself, more times than not, he admits throughout his works that Lord Sriman Narayan is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Okay? So he is also an undercover Sri Sampradaya Vaishnava Guru. And if you look at the works of Swami Sivananda, then you'll see right at the end of the Bhagavad Gita, I'm going to read his commentary. He is also a Sri Sampradaya Guru, a pure Sri Vaishnavite, undercover and postulating a false theory. Now, why are these false philosophies necessary? Satish?
Guru, in my opinion, there is no false. How you know which is right?
Yeah, well, I'm giving you the right one.
No, that's what I'm saying.
Okay, yes. So it is necessary to give a whole lot of philosophies and bring about a debate. And when the debate is brought about, then there is an opportunity to relish the absolute truth. And this has been happening since time immemorial. So just 1,000 years ago, Lord Sri Ramanuj had to traverse the length and breadth of India with this truth that I'm giving you now. With this truth that I'm giving you now, he kicked out Buddhism, he kicked out Adi Shankar Acharya's followers, he debated in every kingdom. And that in his lifetime, India was a country with various kingdoms. So he went into each kingdom, he got the permission of a king, and they had a debate. Where he won the debate, then the loser, the system, the verdict system is, if there is a debate and if you can convince on scriptural grounds that you are right, then your opponent must join your sampradaya. So Lord Sri Ramanuj went across length and breadth of India and won in 90% of the kingdom. He rejected through his debates all these false philosophies. Okay? But before I go into the crux, I'm going to show you through a few verses in the Bhagavad Gitas of these three, Lord Sri Ramanuj, Swami Sivananda and Swami Prabhupad, how they text torture and fit in their philosophy. Okay? But before I do that, as Sri Satish Bhai has noted, I always go to the Supreme Lord first. And on the topic, explanation of the verdict part, Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 11, Chapter 21, verse 43. This is the Lord speaking, and this is what he states. I am the ritualistic sacrificed enjoined by the Vedas, and I am the worshipable deity. Full stop. It is I who am presented as various philosophical hypotheses, comma, and it is I alone who am then refuted by philosophical analysis, full stop. The transcendental sound vibration thus establishes me as the essential meaning of all Vedic knowledge, full stop. The Vedas, comma, elaborately analyzing all material duality as nothing but my illusory potency, comma, ultimately completely negate this duality and achieve their own satisfaction. So what is the Lord saying? The Lord is saying that I impel all these saints and sages with the different philosophies, and it is I that impel other saints and sages to refute these philosophies. Is he not saying that? Jaibai?
Starting a debate.
Yes, who? The Lord, through various saints and sages, he impels them to give a alternate philosophy, and then through other saints and sages, he impels them to give the true philosophy. Can you see how beautiful Sanatana Dharma is? Can you see how beautiful Sanatana Dharma is? There is an answer for everything by the Supreme Lord Himself. The Supreme Lord answers every question that can enter mankind himself. Meena, take out your face mask, let me see your face. Hey, she got a double face mask. Double face mask. And she doesn't look as if she lost somebody very, very dear to her. I said, if you miss a satsang, how your face must look? Meena? Where Sash is there? Sash? Teach Meena how to get that sad face. Meena? After satsang, speak to Sash in the back. She'll teach you how to get that really sad face when you lost someone you missed a satsang. Dave, take out your mask, let me see your face. Okay, Sash is Dave's daughter. Dave, you can get in-house training when you go home. Only Meena will get a training here at the ashram. Alright, coming back. So, that Guru that advised me not to do what I am doing today, I don't think he understood this verse that I read from the Srimad Bhagavatam, because the Srimad Bhagavatam allows me, through the Lord Himself, to do what I am doing today. I am not causing any dissent or disharmony in society. I am removing confusion, because today our children are very intelligent. They're going to pick this up somewhere, because all this information is in technology at the moment, and it can be found by your fingertips. Yes or no? And our children would want to know why 3 gurus of the 21st century is given 3 different interpretations of the Bhagavad Gita. And our children might deduce that we have a confused God. Don't you think? So we need to bring these issues to the forefront and to light, and we need to do this as Lord Sri Ramanuj did 1,000 years ago, where it was the custom that when this was exposed, then the opponent and all his followers will join the. So I'm hoping to inherit all the ISKCON devotees from around the world and all Swami Sivananda's devotees from around the world. And we can call all those ashrams Sri Narayan Dham. I think this is the first time Siddharth has smiled in this satsang since his entry on Friday. When Siddharth joined the Sri Narayan Dham, he thought it was such an easy-going ashram. You just come in the mornings, meet the Guru, have a few discussions, and that's life. And that's life. Siddharth, wrong impression. Life has not started yet for you. Life has not started yet. Speak to Sri Vishwadhar. When last have you spoken to Sri Vishwadhar? a very long time. You should be speaking to him daily. He has a lot of advice for you. Open the ears and drink it in. So let us now scripturally see why the Guru is disputing these philosophies. And since it's a Gita week, let us read from the Gita itself. And I'm starting from Swami Sivananda. Chapter 2, verse 12. And he is stating, "No, at any time indeed was I not, comma, nor these rulers of men, comma, no verily shall we ever cease to be hereafter." Okay. What is this verse saying? What is this verse saying? Lord Sri Krishna is telling Arjuna, there was never a time we were not together. Not in the past, not now, and not in the future. Not me, nor the kings, nor Arjuna. What does that mean? What does that mean? Okay, let me read Swami Prabhupad. Chapter 2, text 12. Never was there a time when I did not exist, comma, nor you, comma, nor all these kings, comma, nor in the future shall any one of us cease to be. What does that mean? Lord Sri Ramanuj, chapter 2, text 12. There never was a time when I did not exist, comma, nor you, nor any of these kings of men, full stop. Nor will there be any time in future when all of us shall cease to be. Siddharth, what are these three commentators saying in the translation of these verses? See, Satish? I see you're quite intelligent without a wife.
Once again, my understanding, Guru, is that they're all admitting that without, basically saying, listen, there's only one individual that's giving the information.
Okay. And they're saying that this individual is Lord Sri Krishna, and Lord Sri Krishna is saying that there never was a time when Lord Sri Krishna did not exist, nor did Arjuna did not exist, nor did the kings of men did not exist. So ultimately he is saying that we exist eternally, separately. So the individual souls are always individual. Is he not saying that? That the individual souls are always individual, which means the individual souls at no state can get absorbed and become the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Is Swami Sivananda himself saying that? I read him first. Did he not himself translate what Lord Sri Krishna is saying? Yes? Then how can he in his philosophy state that when knowledge dawns upon the ignorant, then that person becomes one with God? Can you see the contradiction? Can you see the contradiction? If that was the case, then this verse cannot exist in the Bhagavad Gita. This verse cannot exist in the Bhagavad Gita because Lord Sri Krishna is stating that all the living entities and the Supreme Personality of Godhead has existed eternally in their separate identities as souls and the Supreme Lord eternally. Now, if you have to take and make a ruling, on whose word would you take the ruling? On the speaker of the Bhagavad Gita, Lord Sri Krishna, or the translator of the Bhagavad Gita, Swami Sivananda and Adi Shankaracharya? The original speaker of the Bhagavad Gita, who is Lord Sri Krishna himself, the Supreme Lord. Swami Sivananda is a spiritual master or a guru, and Adi Shankaracharya is a spiritual master or guru. You cannot take the word of the spiritual master over the Supreme Lord. Are you understanding? So if you have to understand this, then do you think that by me making you aware of this truth is bringing this harmony in Sanatana Dharma, or is it bringing spiritual cohesion in your life? What it is doing? It's bringing spiritual cohesion in your life, because this philosophy can separate you from the Supreme Lord and yourself. Yes or no? Because to attain the Supreme Lord, you have to attain Him through His instructions that He postulated Himself, and not by a commentator or philosopher. Had it been so, then He would have not incarnated Himself. He could have sent commentators and philosophers to do His work. Because He does not trust them in the absolute sense, this is why He has postulated His injunctions Himself. And can you understand why Sanatana Dharma is in such a disarray at this point in time? Can all of you understand why? Because different alternate philosophies have become legitimate. It has become legitimate because we have allowed it to become legitimate. That guru that advised me not to publicly bring this alternate philosophy in the public domain, that type of gurus have legitimized alternate philosophies. Yes or no? So we, in order to connect the Supreme Lord to the individual souls, we have to remove alternate philosophies and entrench the absolute truth. So are we bringing discord and disharmony, or are we bringing spiritual reality into the fore? You understand? All of you understand? Okay. So I'm going now to one more verse. of the Bhagavad Gita. This is the Gita week, and we need to understand the Bhagavad Gita in its absolute sense. So I'm going to chapter 13. Siddharth, I think in future you must come early to satsang, so the Guru will write down which pages to flip through quickly. You can see I'm having a difficult time. Think you'll manage that, Siddharth? I can hardly hear you. Wife giving you a hard time, Siddharth? Okay, number 12. All right. Amita, you must, I'm going to give page numbers later. You must photograph these verses and pages. So when you all are transcribing, you all have evidence. You all can even use this evidence in the discourse. All right, so people can see. Number 12, 13th discourse, verse 12, Swami Sivananda. I will declare that which has to be known, knowing which one attains to immortality, the beginningless supreme Brahman, called neither being nor non-being. All right. So this is his translation of a Vedic verse. All right. In his translation, he did not add the word Anadi Mat Param. So he got Sanskrit, he got this verse in Sanskrit, then he got it written in English alphabets. Okay? And then he got this verse that I read. But he missed out Anadi Mat Param. Because if he added Anadi Mat Param in his verse, then it will topple his philosophy. Because Anadi Mat Param means subordinate. Anadi Mat Param in English means subordinate. Alright? So Lord Sri Krishna is saying that Brahman is subordinate to him. And Swami Sivananda is saying that Brahman is the supreme reality. It is not a person. It is not a person. It is undifferentiated consciousness. All right? In his philosophy of Advaita. But look, Anadi Mat Param is Lord Sri Krishna's spoken word. If you miss the Lord's word out in your translation, what happens to your Bhagavad Gita? What happens to your Bhagavad Gita? It cannot be absolute anymore. Do you understand? Let me read the same verse by Swami Prabhupada. I shall now explain the knowable, knowing which you will taste the eternal. This is beginningless and it is subordinate to me. It is called Brahman, the spirit, and it lies beyond the cause and effect of this material world. Okay, so Swami Prabhupada, he includes the word subordinate. And in his, and I want you to fix this somewhere in your mind, in this he confirms that the description of Brahman mentioned in this verse is in relation to the individual soul. It's in relation to the individual soul. Okay? I want you to keep this in mind as I go through. And then Lord Sri Ramanuj, chapter 13, verse 12, I shall declare that which is to be known, knowing which one attains the immortal self. It is beginningless Brahman, having me for the highest. Anadi Mataparam. Semicolon, it is said to be neither being nor non-being. So, in this chapter, Lord Sri Krishna in chapter 13, he is explaining the field and the knower of the field. The field is material nature and the knower of the field is the individual soul. He is showing a differentiation between the material nature and the knower of the soul. So the context of verse 13 is that Lord Sri Krishna is dissecting material nature and the material and the individual soul. He is separating the individual soul from material nature. Okay? In that context, and you would have noticed that the speaker is Lord Sri Krishna, alright? Keep this in mind. The speaker is Lord Sri Krishna. Now I want to read the next verse. The next verse. Nikhil, you got a headache? I got some Panados. You'll manage? Huh? You thought satsang was easy, ABC. I can feel fumes coming out of his brain. Okay, verse 13. Swami Sivananda, chapter 13, verse 13. Would hands and feet everywhere, would eyes, heads, and mouths everywhere, would ears everywhere, he exists in the worlds enveloping all. Alright? That is Swami Sivananda. Swami Prabhupada. Everywhere are his hands and legs, comma, his eyes and faces, comma, and he hears everything. In this way, the super soul exists. Okay? So now I'm going to go into Swami Prabhupada's word for word I think it's called transliteration, if you bring it from, he brought it from Sanskrit, in Sanskrit, I think, to Sanskrit with English alphabets, and then he brought it to English words, one word at a time, all right? So he got Sarvata. This is why I said, Amita, you need to photograph this, all right? He's got Sarvata, which means everywhere, Pani, which means hands, Padam, which means legs, Tat, which means that, Sarvata, which means everywhere again, Aksi, which means eyes, Sira, which means head, Mukham, which means face, Sarvata, again, which means everywhere, Srutimat, which means hearing, Loke, which means in the world, Sarvam, which means everywhere, Arvata, which means covering, and Tistitati, which means exist. Nowhere is it translated that in this way the super soul exists. This sentence he added for himself because in his philosophy, Brahman is called the super soul. Brahman is called the super soul, which is a plenary portion of Lord Sri Krishna. Do you understand? To postulate his philosophy, what he has done to this Bhagavad Gita, what he has done to this Bhagavad Gita, he has changed it. So is this Bhagavad Gita as it is anymore? Do you understand? This evidence I'm taking from whom? Am I taking it from Lord Sri Ramanuj and I'm fighting him? Or I'm taking it from him and I'm fighting him? Sri Satish? His own evidence. This is from his own evidence. So you saw why we should reject this version of the Bhagavad Gita. Because the Lord is absolute, his teachings are absolute. No saint is allowed to change what the Lord has stated or add onto the Lord what the Lord has stated. You think Lord Sri Krishna didn't have the capacity to say in this verse that in this way the super soul exists? Think he didn't have the capacity? If that was the truth, don't you think the Lord would have stated it? Would have stated it? Now you understand why I am stating that remove all these Bhagavad Gitas from your possession. Remove all these Bhagavad Gitas from your possession because you're not going to get the true taste of tea. If you want tea, Nilendri, 5 roses tea. And if somebody puts some Glen tea and trees and I don't know, all those other teas and mix it up, can you get the real satisfaction of 5 roses? So what you must do with the tea bags? Nilendri, what you must do? Don't donate it. Throw the damn thing away. if it don't taste good for you, it is not going to taste good for someone else. Don't fry it to throw these Bhagavad Gitas away. Don't go give it to your cousin or your sister or somebody you don't like. Don't even give it to your enemies. Throw it away. And the Guru is not finished yet. Nadira? Is the water boiling? We have 5 rose tea the Guru is giving here. They won't need the real tea. This tea is enough. As it is, Nikhil's brains are frying. I can hear it frying. And then Lord Sri Ramanuj, he is saying, everywhere are its hands and feet. Everywhere are its hands and feet. Its eyes, heads, and mouths are everywhere. Its ears are on all sides, and it exists encompassing all things. Now watch. I'm going to show you how dangerous. Just this, I'm only showing you 2 verses, and I'm showing you how dangerous misinterpretation is and following philosophies that have been created by gurus. Following philosophies that have been created by gurus. All right? So yesterday, in my introduction, as my background, I told you that I loved law. You heard me? And I also stated that you can give me a whole bag of statements. I'll find it. I will find it. And I also stated that the Supreme Lord prepared me not for material law. Although He prepared me through material law, He did not prepare me for material law. He prepared me for scriptural law. And can you see what I have found today? Can you see what I have found today? Are you understanding? All right. So in the previous verse of Swami Prabhupada and the Lord Sri Ramanuj, Brahman meant the individual soul. In verse 12, Brahman meant the individual soul. Brahman, by Swami Sivananda removing the word subordinate, he wanted Brahman to mean the supreme Brahman. Okay? Then both in Lord Sri Ramanuj and Swami Prabhupada, it has been declared that it means the individual soul. So the next verse should mean whom? That second verse that I read, it has many eyes, hands, ears, nose, all pervading. Who is that? No, it is still the individual soul, because the context of the discussion in chapter 13 is the Lord is differentiating between the individual soul and the field which is material nature. So the Lord is not going to jump from the individual soul to himself, because it is not necessary to bring himself when he is differentiating the individual soul and material nature. Are you understanding? So Swami Prabhupada states that this verse relates to the super soul, who is the Param Atma. Now, if this verse related to the super soul, firstly it is out of context, then he added the super soul in the translation himself. It does not exist there, right? Then, to further verify, have you all heard Lord Sri Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita? He is saying, I am the taste in water, because he is speaking. He is saying, I am the Aditya. And he also says, in gambling, it is I who is the gambler. In gambling, it is I who is the gambler. So I had one devotee for 4 years here. 4 years here. He followed him, his wife, his 2 children. They said, Acharyaji will never leave you. Not one time, a billion times. Because they thought that in gambling, it is I that's the gambler, stated by Lord Sri Krishna allows him to gamble. And he was gambling all his money away in the Suncoast Casino. And the Guru was whacking him. And he was thinking the Guru is joking with him because Lord Sri Krishna says he is the gambler. Do you understand? So wherever Lord Sri Krishna wanted to say that it is him, he used the word I. He used the word I. In this verse, Swami Prabhupada, everywhere are his hands and legs, his eyes and faces, and he bears everything. Who saying this? Swami Prabhupada. If Lord Sri Krishna was referring to himself, he should say, everywhere are my hands and legs. Everywhere are my eyes and faces. Everywhere I hear everything. Don't you think? Because Lord Sri Krishna is speaking. You understand? So this verse really means that the individual soul, after knowledge has dawned on the individual soul and ignorance has been removed, the individual soul is all pervading. The individual soul is all pervading. The individual soul becomes equal with the Supreme Lord. Don't you like that, Jai? After liberation, when you leave this earth, if you follow the Guru, in this lifetime, at the end of this lifetime, Lord Sri Narayan will send his elephant to pick you up with the Vishnu Dattas. And you'll go all the way to Vaikunt. And you'll be equal to the Supreme Lord in all aspects except one. And what is that one aspect? Creation. Individual soul is equal in all aspects of the Supreme Lord. The only difference is that the Lord is the creator. Individual soul does not have ability to create. Do you understand? Is not a good feeling, Amita, that there's hardly, the only difference between you and the Supreme Lord is that he can create and you cannot create. In your liberated state. In your liberated state. Can you see how much value does this verse give you as an individual soul? And subsequent verses, but I'm not going to read. just this one verse, Jai Bhai, how much of value does it give you as an individual soul? Great value. Now, when you listen to Swami Prabhupada, where he has inserted the super soul, and he says that these eyes, these ears, this all pervading is the super soul, then what value does it give you? Zero. What is Lord Sri Krishna's intended? What is his intended reason for giving you this verse? Remember, he is summarizing the entire Vedas in only 700 verses. You think he's going to waste a verse? You think he's going to waste a verse? So this verse itself and its subsequent verses gives you an understanding on who you really are. Prita, on who you really are. Instead of being miserable for a few small aspects of life, when you come to know that you are equal to the Supreme Lord, and if you surrender to Him, you will reach that state. Does it not give you a sense of hope, a sense of living, a sense of being, a sense of the future? Because you are not far from the Lord. And don't you think that these despicable insertions in the Bhagavad Gita and omissions, where it is to confuse you, these Bhagavad Gitas should be set aside. Don't you think? All of you? So I'm going to conclude here. We're going to have a tea break. We're going to have a tea break. When I have time, we're going to show you Guruji's satsangs. Swami Sudarshan Acharyaji Maharaj satsangs. He used to do satsangs once in 6 months. Namita? Once in 6 months. His satsang should start 10 in the morning. 10 in the morning outside, where? In the courtyard, would 5,000 people sitting on the floor. 5,000 people sitting on the floor listening to Guruji's satsang, which he should have once in 6 months, that should start 10 in the morning and finish about 4 in the evening. I'll show you videos and look at how merited you are. All of you all had to be saints and sages and devis and devtas in your previous lifetime. Don't you think? The Guru does everything for you and Mataji and a few of his devotees. All you have to do is just drive here, sit here, and like Nikhil, have a headache when the Guru is speaking. Either eat or don't eat, but when you eat, you really eat, and then jump in your car and on. Guru will clean the ashram, sweep the ashram, set everything up for you. You all have to be very, very great sage and saints in your previous lifetime to receive this treatment. Don't you think? Yeah. Are there any questions? Jai Bhai? Something is brewing in your mind.
Trying to digest all the facts.
Just sanitize it, Jai Bhai. You come from the soap industry. We need to wash all these other Bhagavad Gitas clean. Don't you think, Siddharth? What comments you have, Siddharth, on this discourse? You also got a headache like Nikhil? Yeah, well, Nikhil knows why he got that headache. Nikhil, you want to tell people why you got that headache?
The piercing pain in the side.
I know where the pain is in the side. You want to tell the people why the piercing pain is in the side. Nikhil? Okay, Jai Sriman Narayan.